Welcome to cEDH Budget Brews. Tonight I'm joined by my friends BigRIchie and Jamaican Dude. And we're going to do a Tatyova turns update. We've done this one before, but the list is a little outdated at this point. It's about $900 and it started out at $500. So we're going to make a new list. So I figured the first thing we might want to do is actually go over what the budget list Tatyova turns does. So I'm assuming everybody pretty much knows Richie and Jamaican at this point. Why don't you guys say hi?
Hey. Are we doing the
wave? Yeah. What you guys been up to? What you been up to, Richie?
Getting pub stomped 24/7 for life. A lot of work and been playing a lot of Tatyova and having some fun matches with it.
Yeah. Well, that was actually what kind of got me on, is that you guys were both jamming it recently. So what about you, Sean? What you been up to?
Been on a Mosshead grind because I was on a Tatyova grind and I hate Hellbreacher, so I changed.
So you changed to something that dies to Draneth. Hey, at least you die at sorcery speed now instead of instant speed.
Exactly. So
I feel you. I feel you, boo.
Exactly.
All right. So let's go ahead and start with Jamaican's list here. I'm going to switch to visual mode.
Jamaican?
Yeah, we're going to start with your list. So, Sean, what's the overall plan with your Tatyova list?
My Tatyova list is for one thing and one thing only. It's there to dawdle and annoy people. I have nothing else. That is my number one goal, is to dawdle. This deck dawdles, and it dawdles a lot.
I can tell it dawdles a lot.
Yeah, 100% dawdles. This is if you enjoy sitting at a table and drawing cards, and then taking an extra turn and drawing 5 more cards, this is the deck for you. It does absolutely nothing, then draw cards. It's not a Niv Mizzet deck. Let's get that out there. It's not as good as Niv, but in the color schemes, it's pretty good. My list is, I want to say, when I'm normally playing it, a lot of my win cons come from, a lot of my wins come from
out dirtling everybody?
Yeah, but to like the actual kill, like most of the time, is just from Field of the Dead.
From Field of the Dead?
Yeah. That is where most of my kills come from.
Field of the Dead.
A lot of zombies.
I make a lot of zombies, take an extra turn, swing with the zombies, play 4 to 5 extra lands, and then make more zombies swing. It's literally like, to say that I have won the game, most 50% of my game with Ghostly Flicker combo would be a lie.
Okay.
Like, that is not like the main aspect of the game. Like, this deck was literally built to just sit at a table versus all these animals deck and make it a little hell for them. But
okay. All right.
I had a popular game on stream with cEDH TV and Mons where this guy over here played Zer, and I was against 3 Animals deck. I resulted in early Collector Roof, and then he politics his way into getting the Collector Roof removed in turn 6, and he noticed at reversal my extra turn, and then won. And I part the water veil? No. He noticed at reversal the card he gave me, which was Walk the Aeons.
Walk the Aeons.
Extra salt. Extra
for qualifying Walk the Aeons.
I apologize.
Whoa, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Don't have
sell that one short.
You have
for qualifying.
Did you take Walk the Aliens out of your list?
I did after what he done to me.
Wow, that's rough. All right.
I am salty.
Anything else of note about your list, Sean?
No, that is it.
This
is just draw cards and make zombies.
Okay. So, Mr. Richard, I want to switch over to view mode for yours. So why don't you kind of just give us the TLDR of your list and what makes it different from Sean's?
So my list is tuned toward Nas heavy meta, and the really funny thing is I'm playing Twin Cast and I'm playing Narset's Reversal. And like I kind of want to sit there, hit land drops. Eventually, if I'm not in a Nas heavy table, I can get Tatyova online. My win condition is just taking all the turns, but the way I get there is through Ghostly Flicker loops.
Flicker.
Yes. This wasn't possible until the release of Mystic Sanctuary.
Okay.
So my game plan is to get I'd like to get 3 islands in play. So that's why I'm super island heavy. And then Mystic Sanctuary is normally my 4th land. I go in combination with Mana Crypt. I can basically make infinite life at that point, and that's normally fine. Using something like Grim Monolith, I can make infinite mana, which is really beneficial, and then start taking that colorless mana and paying the 2.
How are you? Because you bounce
lands.
it with the Ghostly Flicker.
Flicker. I flicker. It returns. It puts it on top with Mystic Sanctuary, and then I rinse and repeat.
Gotcha.
So I've got that's why I got Mana Vault in here, and I've got Grim Monolith as those mana rocks that let me go kind of infinite with mana, and once I do that,
power out Tatyova fast too.
Yeah,
which is kind of a big deal.
All
right.
I don't get to play Collector Oof. That's kind of a downside. That's one of the nice things that Sean has in his deck.
And Sean plays Null Rod, but Null Rod's like $150.
Yeah, we can't do those. But like this is secretly I've been stealing people's ad nauses. Once this technology is like kind of figured out and people know your Narset's reversaling and twin casting, when you pass with 2 open blue, the table just doesn't do anything if they're in an arms race.
But that allows you to dirtle.
That does. So it's kind of a secret. I also have an intuition pile in here that's a little bit different. I have intuition with Life from the Loam, fetch land, and a turn spell. And basically with that engine, you can start taking all the turns because your fetch lane goes and grabs Mystic Sanctuary. That puts your turn spell on top. Tatyova triggers, you draw a card. So I tried to make Life from the Loam a Loam engine in here that was very similar to an old school Legacy deck. It was an old it was an old Psychotog deck. It was a bug Psychotog deck.
Was it Frog in a Blender?
I can't remember what it's called. It had one of the coolest names though.
No, that was the one with Radiate, I think. And
this was a long time ago. The win condition was that it was a 6/1 shrouded 5 mana creature. And then the win condition became Psychotog, and then you had a couple of different iterations. But I don't know, like I've got a little bit more controversial choices. Like I'm not playing Crucible of Worlds in here or something like that. Which a lot of the lists do lean into. I'd say that
you've got Ramanop in there, you've got Life from the Loam, so you've got the recursion.
I'd say that this is a pretty decent deck if you're looking to play and your meta is very Turbo Nas heavy. There's at least 6 different slots that you can interchange cards in and out of. You can make this more stacksy by removing yourself from the Ghostly Flicker loops or from the Grim Monolith loops. It does play Gaia's Cradle. It's one of the worst Cradle decks in the format, but Cradle generally taps for 2, so...
Okay, I mean, that's mana positive most of the time.
And that's pretty much what you need. With Cradle, yes.
Also, another thing with Tatyova that I've grown to like about it is I think Tatyova can be played at all power level. Mm-hmm. Even though that you build it cEDH, you can play it in a high power, more tuned meta, or even, I won't say if you caught like the fast rocks, like how we're doing the budget version now, you can just play it you could play it in a mid power. It won't be battle cruiser like Magic for casual, but I think from mid power up, like you can just keep growing Tatyova because
and you can kind of, and it'll slot in kind of depending on how compact your win conditions are.
Exactly. So if you're like my table doesn't like us winning on turn 2, like Tatyova is not a turn 2 win deck.
Right.
So you can literally just play the long game, enjoy the game, enjoy the social aspect of Commander.
Okay.
And that's why I liked it a lot. I carried it to the shop a few times, and there was a lot more positive feedback when I played it versus here's a Hermit Druid on turn 2 and on turn 3.
Gotcha.
Yeah, people can get a little grumpy at that.
I like it for 2 reasons. Number 1, Lotus Cobra, and number 2, Oracle of Moldiah. Those are the 2 most fun cards in this deck.
I like Tatyova because of trade routes.
Trade routes is super fun.
Yeah, I was not a trade routes fan.
I wasn't initially. With Loam, and you can discard cards and draw. It's a pretty sick draw engine.
I like trade routes because I used to play it in Mercadian Mask Standard and Old Extended with Moloku the Clouded Mirror.
Oh.
Yeah. Because you just can... not only does she bounce lands, but trade routes will bounce lands as well. But it was like a mono blue control deck, so you had 2 Morphlings, 2 or 3 Morphlings, 2 or 3 Molokus, kind of in Old Extended back in my day.
Back in my day when I played Rising Waters trade routes.
Yeah, you play Morphling, Exalted Angel, Eternal Dragon, and then Moloku, and you'd have 6 creatures. So that was your deck. You could just run 2 or 3 of each.
That sounds like a typical 60-card control deck.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway, all right. Now that we've pontificated about the fun part, let's go ahead and work on our budget deck. So, as with always, I made a rough mana base and made a rough ramp template for the list. You guys probably won't agree with a lot of what I did outside of most of the lands, which is fine. That's why you guys are here. You play the deck. I only play against it. I nominally played it. So I went ahead and upped the land count to 39. I kind of felt that we wanted to go a little bit heavier, and you guys were already on 38. I only upped it by 1 just to kind of help make sure that we hit our stuff on time.
Okay.
And for the ramp, I did add a few rocks, even though you're on Collector Ufshan in your list. I thought maybe we might take it out. I don't know. But I did add a couple more sorcery-based, a couple more basically search land tutor cards.
Yeah, just because that.
I just kind of felt that that's probably the way we want to go with Tatyova, because it's essentially 2 mana, put a land in a play, draw card.
Yeah.
I think the nice thing about budget in general with this deck is you probably aren't going to run into too many Hull Breachers.
There's not a ton of Hull Breachers. I mean, there's some Op Agents and Hull Breachers, but the meta is, if you actually play this in a meta kind of where this deck is kind of slotted, the meta is going to be slower, and it's going to have a lot more dorks. It's going to be a lot more green-based ramp.
Yeah.
As I've been finding out, Dockside's not as good down here in the swill with the peasants.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Yeah, I agree with it. Sometimes you find like a good dark side because some people are still on some budgetize, and
some,
in these, yeah. But no,
but not
you're
early.
correct.
It's like mid game, like turn 4,
Yeah,
turn
mid game,
5,
correct.
maybe. But like I've had a lot of games where Dockside's just been rotten in my hands, and I'm kind of beginning to form an opinion that playing decks, at least to start out with green and using more dork based ramp, is much more.
It's the right way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only is it more cost prohibitive, but it's also just overall strong.
Here's something else I like about this deck too in mid power and in budget. There's not as many sweepers. Or the sweepers in the format aren't going to blow your deck out, I should say.
Yeah, I know it's bad.
Like you've got pretty resilient creatures. Tatyova's a 3/3. It's 5 mana. It sucks if you lose it, but you're ramping, so I mean you can easily recast it. You know, then you've got stuff like ramming up Excavator and Wayward Swordtooth and some of your, your key creatures. I think having higher than X2 matters, so you don't get blown out by Pyroclasm sweepers.
Yep.
So,
with that in mind, how about we look at the list and let's tune it up?
Sounds swell.
So, I think that the first thing we should figure out is, do we want to go like an extra turn route, or do we want to go more on Ghostly Flicker? And we're playing budget, but like both of those do have expensive components. One of them has mana rocks that are pretty heavy. Those are really expensive, like Mana Vault and Grim Monolith is way too expensive, but Mana Crypt, the Soul Rings, not bad.
Right.
Yeah, no one's that tap for 2.
So there's a couple of lower CMC rocks that you can use, like Basalt Monolith is one. That if you're flickering it, it'll functionally do what you need.
True.
It's kind of the main one. You could maybe squeeze in a Mana Crypt if we wanted, but we'd have to make a lot of concessions for it.
No, I think the Basalt is good. We could even get away with Warm. No, you can't get away with Warm.
No, because it comes into play tapped. But we could do Gilded Lotus.
You could do Gilded Lotus, yeah. That is true.
You've got those options. I think that that's really important, by the way, to point out, because it's definitely like an area this deck can excel in my opinion. Like that Ghostly Flicker is, at the very worst, an instant speed divination that costs 1 mana. Like it's 1 mana draw 2 cards.
I agree with Richie for that one. It's either go one or the other. I don't think it can do both.
No,
you have to lean into one.
And I do think Ancient Tomb. I know I was looking at the lands. I think Ancient Tomb, if you're gonna play either one, is kind of like one of the most crucial things to look into. I was thinking about cards that work really well in both. I don't know the price on Tomb right now, how expensive
55.
It is.
That's why I cut it.
Ooh.
So I put Crystal Vein in as a way to help power out Tatyova better.
Yeah, but it doesn't help win.
Right. Yeah, that is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we want to slot in Ancient Tomb and cut some, we've got $120 to work with. So we can add a couple of cards like that. So let's and especially if we're trying to do more of the Ghostly Flicker shenanigans, we could trim out some of the turn spells as well.
So you're already on this turn spells are already pretty tight.
They are.
The thing about the turn spells are you have one that shuffles away.
Right.
So you're never going to be able to use it with Mystic Sanctuary.
Yeah, he's only playing one that stays in the graveyard.
Yeah, Karn's Temporal Sundering and Part the Water Veil and Temporal Mastery all go away too.
I think so, yeah.
I think the first thing, I don't know if this makes a whole lot of sense. I'm not a big fan of Temporal. Oh, sorry.
No, all I was going to say is we could actually put Temporal Manipulation in and cut the instant speed one. So that way we have 2 that will layer with Ghostly Flicker.
Yeah, I think that would work out. I'm not a big fan of the 7-mana one, but I do know that it's an infinite outlet.
Does that seem like a good plan for both of you guys?
I believe if you're going with that plan, which I'm not against it, if you want to cut the Nexus of Fate, that means you don't have infinite turns anymore. So with that said,
You still do.
Well, I guess, sure, by casting the same spell, but I think if that's the game plan, I think I want to put Sunsquare Desert in to make you just have a hard outlet. And
I'm not
Sunsquare
against
Desert
that.
isn't. And
for your-
Sunsquare Desert isn't. For your pain, for your win condition.
Yeah.
So we go up to
If we
41
can-
lands, or do we still cut some lands?
No, you don't cut some lines. Well, you don't need 41 lines.
Are we counting Snowlands too? Because I do know they just got reprinted. I don't know if they're.
I moved them to where they don't count as in the dollar amounts.
Okay,
So-
that's pretty good.
So I'll
So if
do
you
is
have Field of the Dead, you need the snow and regular.
all right. So what I'll do is I'll cut 2 regular basics because that way we keep our snow count normal.
Sure.
Where it was at beforehand.
And it's important to note we're doing this during Kaldheim standard, where Snowlands are pretty easy to come by. They're
And
like
very
in the-
accessible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're back down to 39 lands. I've got the Sunscorched Desert in. The Ancient Tomb is in. We're at 430. I swapped the temporal manipulation in and took the Nexus of Fate out. Do we still want to add the Basalt Monolith as well? Was that what we wanted to do?
Well, which way are we going? Are we going to Ghostly Flicker or are we going to turns?
I think if we go the Ghostly Flicker route, we're also probably looking... At that point, I really think Mystical Tutors are a really important card to have in, which you already do. I think Merchant Scrolls are a really important card to add in because it lets us find Ghostly Flicker. And, I mean, I've seen some people play Drift of Phantasms to get Ghostly Flicker. I'm not really sold on something like that.
I'm not sold on that.
What about that?
I don't think it's that necessary.
What's that new one that just came out in Strixhaven?
Is there a new one that lets you go and tutor an instant?
Instant or sorcery, 2-hand. It's 3 mana on that one.
I do not know that.
Let me pull up my tutor template. It is there on our Budget Brews website. Ha ha ha. Plug, plug, plug.
How do I get to the Budget Brews website, Timmy? I mean, figuratively and literally.
Budgetbrews.club. And it's also in the welcome page of the Budget Brews Discord. I can post it in our chat if you would like.
Oh, Sarah was just getting a plug in there.
Oh,
in case someone
gotcha.
wanted to get it.
Budgetbrews.club.
I'm professional. I had this up the entire time.
So the new card is called Solve the Equation.
Okay.
So let's add...
Solve the Equation, and this is sorcery? 3 mana sorcery?
Search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal it, and put that into your hand, then shuffle. Let you go and find your extra. It lets you find your what's it called spell too. Your tutor spell.
Your tutor spell.
Right, your tutor spell. Your
It lets you find any instant or sorcery out of your deck.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And
The deck kind of needs it.
Which is nice. Do we care about finding Basalt Monolith consistently, or
no?
Okay,
no.
All right.
So
into those.
I think another thing. I don't know what Worldly Tutor's going at. It got reprinted, but I know it didn't go down.
It's 22
very much
right now.
Is Summoner's Pack cheaper? Which one is cheaper?
Summoner's Pack just got reprinted. That thing is into the ground. It's in.
Okay, then I believe we should go Summoner's Pack. Because you kind of need to get an extra land drop creature in play.
Yeah, Summoner's Pact right now is $285.
Oh wow! Okay.
And then the nice thing about it is, you also can go and find Lotus Cobra, and that lets you go infinite again with Flicker Wisp.
Yeah, Ghostly Flicker.
Or Ghostly Flicker, yeah, not Flicker Wisp. Ghostly Flicker, excuse me.
Do we want to add something like Quarter Calling to the list?
No.
I don't think you play enough creatures. Yeah.
You don't play enough creatures for it. It's literally just Worldly Tutor and Summons back.
Okay, so I'll put the Worldly Tutor back in. That'll put us at like...
Like, you don't have to. The Worldly Tutor isn't a must. Like, we can find another way to get a Worldly Tutor.
Well, let me see what I got here. Again, Oracle, Consult. So, Green Tutors, Birthing Pod, Court of Calling, Crop Rotation, Eldritch Evolution, Finale Devastation, Green Sun Zenith, Shared Summons.
I like GSZ.
It's $30.
Oh, okay then. Let's not do GSZ. That's...
I'm sorry, I lied. Green Sun Zenith is $27.
Ooh.
It's more expensive than Worldly Tutor.
Okay.
I think
I guess Worldly it is. I would like it. I would like to say Eldritch would be good, but I'm looking at the creatures and I'm like, I mean,
now I did.
I'm not sold on them, but
put some. You're not sold on what creatures?
No. Like I like the one drops going into 3 is fine because like the only one that you really want is like Oracle and Zuza, so you can get to them pretty okay from there. They can second door to get
Do we want to play Eldritch Evolution? But we're not on a lot of dorks. We're on like 1.
No, you're not on a lot of dorks. But I wouldn't sack anything else to get anything else.
Oh,
you see what I'm
gotcha.
saying?
Yeah. And I am running. So I put Prismatic Vista in the list because we're on a ton of basics.
Yeah.
We have a Windswept Heath. I have a Flooded Strand and a Fabled Passage, and then I also am running it's called Floodplain from Mirage.
That's fine.
It's the tap fetch land.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm my question is if we're really hard into fetching that Mystic Sanctuary, do we want to cut the Windswept Heath even though it's like half the price of all the other
no
blue fetches?
Because no.
What I'm saying is, like, do we want to swap it out for like Polluted Delta or something? Polluted Delta is like $50.
I like Delta a lot. Okay. So this is really hard because we're doing this right before Modern Horizons 2, and the fetch lands are getting reprinted in Modern Horizons 2.
Yeah, the fetch is gonna drop again.
So what I'm saying is, if we could end up maybe with like an extra $30 left over, out there listening, you can end up with like $35 left over after building this. We could say go buy fetches with it when Modern Horizons 2 comes out, because the fetches do matter. Being able to fetch up, you don't have that many ways of finding your best card, one of your best cards, which is Mystic Sanctuary, and you have to fetch it. So
what I was saying, what we could use to fix that is we could play all the tap fetches that fetches for blue to fix it because
there is a Mirage equivalent of floodplain, and it's called Bad River.
Bad River is a Bad River red black.
No, Bad River is black blue. Bad River comes into play tapped and then fetches an island or a swamp.
Yeah,
so we can add that, and it's like $3.
Yeah, and then whenever the Modern Horizons does replace all the tap fetch lands with actual fetches.
And I'm just pointing out, that's something that's going to come out, and it will impact the price.
Yeah, no, totally. So what do I cut? I'm going to cut one land. Do I cut a basic?
How many basics are we down to? Regular basics.
We have 6. We still have 16.
Okay, yeah, cut a basic.
Yeah, you can cut a basic.
Cut a snow.
I'm going to cut a snow. Do we cut Snow Forest or Snow Island?
Forest.
Forest, okay.
The key thing is you want to have enough forest to fetch out with your
Nature's Lore
Nature's Lore effects, yeah.
Yeah.
And you still want to have, like, if you draw them.
So I did add a rampant growth, and I added, there's a crop rotation in the list still. I did not add a Sylvan
Safekeeper?
No, Tutor. Sylvan Tutor, or whatever it is. Sylvan Scrying is not in the list. Should we add that to help us get the Sanctuary?
So, also, caught up in thing. You could add Silver Scry to get a Sanctuary. I
already have
know
Farseek in there, which will get an island.
I don't know how far down the rabbit hole you want to get for it. I was thinking about playing a card in my list, Elvish Rejuvenator? No, Elvish Reclaimer, sorry. The one that taps 2 fetch for any land?
Sack a land, fetch.
Sack a land, fetch, right. So, I mean, you can definitely still go with a Sylvan Scrying, which is fine.
So I just looked up the price on one of the best lands, in my opinion. Sean and I, we have differing opinions. I think a Boro is insane. Can't play a Boro.
So Elvish Reclaimer
cannot
is like
afford a Boro.
I think you can play trade out.
I don't think we play Elvish Reclaimer. It's like $5, and it's not in your
list.
Is
it 5? Okay.
And like as a filler card, I don't want to like try to throw that much money into it.
No, doesn't get Sylvan Scrying.
Yeah.
I think there's already enough ways to get. I don't know how many ways Richie's playing to get his basic Sanctuary in. I know I'm not overboard on them.
I have all the fetch lands, intuition, and crop rotation.
Well, but so the downside is one, we're short a few fetches.
Yeah.
We're
also short on getting islands into play consistently. Is the other thing. Like,
well, I mean, I've helped compensate by adding like rampant growth. I added 3 visits.
Yeah, I think then play the Sylvan Scrying. Yeah. You can at least fetch you an island.
I also think you don't need to play rampant growth in this deck. I think Kadama's Reach is really good, and those other ones.
We already have Haro in the list.
I don't. Yeah, but it's nice because you go and grab 2 lands.
One
you grab basically. Hand. Yeah, but you grab your 2 islands, so you're there.
No. What I'm saying is like that's a plus for Tatyova because it ramps you, but then it also gives you a land drop for when you play her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did keep Exploration in, but I took out Burgeoning. Does Burgeoning need to be in the list?
Sean, this is up to you, boss. Tell us about Burgeoning.
So, Richie doesn't believe in the gospel of Burgeoning. Here's what I'm saying with Burgeoning. Tim, I'll make you make the decision, because me and Richie's tight on this. Burgeoning is very good. I don't like Burgeoning early games in Tatyova. Why? Because Burgeoning does Burgeoning things, but you don't keep a lot of heavy lands in your hand. But when Tatyova Engine is online, and you're drawing cards, you draw a lot of lands. So you get to draw cards on each player's turn. That is the upside for me for Burgeoning.
So I think
go for it.
So Burgeoning's really good in the slower. When the table slows down, Burgeoning's your best friend. I'm not gonna hate Sean on that one. He's right. Burgeoning, best friend in slower games because you're drawing a bunch of cards. I don't like Burgeoning as much in what I'm trying to do because I'm trying to land Tatyova and close the game out as fast as possible. And that's where our decks differ.
Mm-hmm.
How much, so here's the question. Let's go back to Richie's list. Life from the Loam is $15. Burgeoning plus Life from the Loam is a pretty good engine.
You do lose intuition, though.
Yeah, so is Trade Routes. Trade Routes plus Loam is a pretty good engine.
And we also are pretty light on interaction right now. We don't have a lot of it. We need to add some.
All right.
And we're starting to get to the point where we have 5 cards left and about $25 to add stuff.
We can easily get there with $25. By the way, I like Colney Hard Expedition. I like the fact you included that. I think that card's really good.
So I personally, I know that Tatyova draws you cards, but I think without a reliable like grind engine with burgeoning, you'll run out of gas a lot faster.
The decision, as I said, the decision is yours to make.
I mean, I there's merits to both arguments. I just think that, like, if we're not on Life from the Loam, we're not on as fast of a meta, there's not going to be as many wheels. We're going to have a harder time keeping our hands full of
We're
extra
also not on
hands.
something like a Boro where we can bounce it back to.
We're not on trade routes, yeah.
Yeah, Boro.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not playing any of those effects in that. The effects that you just named, I'm not playing any of them in my list.
You aren't. You're not, but you're also playing in a faster meta with a lot more wheels.
Sure.
So it compensates for that. Like, I mean, most of the budget lists I'm building that are Grixis are running like Wheel of Misfortune, Windfall, and like maybe Whispering Madness. And even then, I'm not like looking for those cards. I just happen to luck into them. I use them.
No, okay, and that's right. Measuring, I'll put the loam and the trade routes in.
What's the cost of Birds of Paradise, by the way?
It's like $9-10.
Okay, because
that's why I put Gilded Goose in.
I was looking at Gilded Goose, and I'm like, we get Gilded Goose.
It's better than you think.
Would be better. I personally don't like dorks. But I know why you're playing dorks, because you don't have the artifact ramp.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, the argument is fine for me. I don't like this flooded. It's actually bugging me.
You don't what's bugging you?
Flooded shoreline.
Flooded shoreline.
2 islands, bounce a creature.
Wait a minute, you don't like flooded shoreline?
I do not.
But it's in your list, Sean.
No, it's not.
Well, yeah, because I copied your list.
Let's go to Jamaican Dude's list. Enchantments.
I don't have Flooded Shoreline on my list, in the budget list.
I saw it in there. Maybe it's not. It's refreshing.
I'm looking at it in enchantments.
Budget Tatty Lands. Yeah, I see it. Flooded Shoreline.
Well, I didn't throw it in there.
Uh,
We can get rid of it. You know what? That card is...
I was reading it, I was like, hey, that bounces the hair piece I really want. That seems pretty strong. Bounce a whole breacher, play my lines. Hey.
Oh, maybe I did put it in for that. I don't know.
Maybe Flooded Shoreline, maybe that's some secret tech that our deck should be playing.
Right. Double blue seems... And double blue plus return 2 islands. I'm like, that's a lot.
Well,
you
but
two
you're Tatyova.
islands.
That's 2 draw triggers, dude.
And then you get some...
I saw the upside. Didn't say it wasn't strong. I was just like...
I think that was an accident. I think I booed a...
It was a good accident. It was a good accident.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I might give that a shot.
I was like, I like it. It bounces a whole creature that I really despise.
You want to keep it in the main? I mean,
I think that's fine.
I'm down to try that card. You know what?
All right, we'll just keep it in there for testing purposes.
I think like you could probably replace that with
trade routes.
Trade routes, right? Trade routes is super cheap, or was cheap. It
it's
might
$5.
have shot up.
Oh, you can't replace. No, trade routes is still 1 mana.
Trade routes is 2 mana.
Still, I guess.
Oh,
2 mana though.
1 mana to bounce. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I trade routes because you're leaning more towards Richie's list with a Ghost Flicker lines.
Then I like burgeoning. Like if we're gonna have all these bounce land effects, I'm on for burgeoning, Sean.
All right, so Shoreline's back in then.
Yeah, flooded shoreline, burgeoning, trade routes. We're doing it.
Oh, all right. Well, we're at $500, and we still got 3 cards.
Should we put Moloku in there? Got something else and just have a win condition?
Calm down.
I mean, look at Timmy. You look at Timmy. He's all giddy about Moloku.
I swear to God,
Sean, you can play Moloku plus Summer Bloom.
Oh my goodness. So we need some interaction. We need miscast.
All right, miscast.
like adding Counterspell. I like Counterspell a lot.
I like Counterspell. I actually like Counterspell and Managing, but Managing is not in our budget.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
Counterspell.
Counterspell is.
Yeah.
Counterspell's in every budget. Modern Horizon 2 reprint staple.
Is it going in Modern Horizons too?
It's yeah.
They're finally gonna put it in Modern. Thank God.
They put Counterspell. I know. Don't worry. They'll mess it up with something else.
What about Mana Leak?
See, I was just thinking about Mana Leak, and I'm like,
It's not
Mana Leak
bad.
it's just terrible late game.
Dude, worst case scenario, it makes your Adnos cost 8.
Sure.
Why not just steal their ad nauseas with Twin Cast? Be excessively greedy.
The green monster has come out.
Because we don't
to
have a
play.
way to really favorably.
You do.
profit.
There is a loop with Twin Cast. You literally cast Ghostly Flicker, Twin Cast, and you basically make copies. You put you put Twin Cast on top after you bounce 2 lands, and you.
Sean, you gotta help me talk some sense in this boy.
No, I've been trying to stop Richie on Twin Cast for a minute. It doesn't help. I'll give up on that fight.
Sean, you were the one who convinced me to play Twin Cast.
All right. Well, so we're a little light on interaction. We have Pongify. I think we should probably add like Reality Shift or Rapid Hybridization or something else too.
Hold on.
I like Reality Shift.
Wow.
Load.
What are you wowing?
I was looking at his guardianship, didn't I? With $34.
Yeah.
Yeah, the days of buying that pre-con are long gone.
I still see it. I just don't get it.
I mean, miscast is worth more than misdirection.
That's a sad day. All right, so I put Reality Shift in. I put in Counterspell. I put in Miscast. We got the delay in here. Let's look at some stack interaction real quick off the spells template.
Oh my goodness, we got off for Swan Song. How's the day where Swan Song is
$15.
expensive?
$15.
What has the world come to?
I know, right? So some possible options are Resculpt, Mana Leak, Dispel. Wait a minute. Isn't there like a new blue-green counterspell in Gather? Hold on.
Yeah, it has 2 sides. It's either a Mana Leak or a return permanent thingy.
That's not the worst.
I could be wrong, but it has 2 modes to it.
I'm gonna look it up. Where's Strixhaven?
Oh man, Cyclonic Rift is so expensive.
Oh god, it's like ridiculous.
I was looking at that too.
Oh, because it's like one of the most fun cards in this deck. Like you don't really get to cast Psych Rift too often in cEDH. And you're just like, oh hey, I could do this.
Double Major. Golden Ratio.
So, how do you feel?
It's Quandrix Command. It's 1 green, 1 blue, 1 colorless. Choose 2. Return a creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Put 2 1/1 counters on target creature. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from the graveyard in their library.
Oh, so it's not even a hard common spell, it's called an artifact or
Well, that's one
enchantment?
of them. And
Yeah,
then,
no.
I thought there was another one.
That's a Mana spell.
There's a counter spell. There's a counter spell that was in Modern. It's the blue. You bounce a land and you counter target spell.
That's Familiar Ruse.
Familiar's Ruse might be decent.
Oh, that's Bounce a
in this deck.
Creature. That's Bounce a Creature. I'm sorry.
It's the one that lets you bounce a land. It's from Zendikar.
Oh, I think I played it, but I don't remember it.
Well, back to Gatherer.
Yeah, I mean, we're not trying to play a scene by the color spells anyways. I mean,
No, it's a 2-mana counter spell that you bounce a land for it.
I guess Mana Leak is good enough.
Yeah.
It's a 2-mana counter spell that you bounce a land for.
It's
not a 3.
Sure.
All the way to bottom.
I know this group of people is against Arcane Denial, so I will not even bring that up.
Not against Arcane Denial. I think it's fine.
I think it's fine too.
I think Arcane Denial is great when you're drawing your opponent out.
I'd rather have memory lapse.
Well, when you're outvaluing the hell out of your opponent.
Oh, we could play Unsub.
Unsub's pretty decent, yeah.
Unsubstantiate?
Yeah. Not even a cost. The return target spell. It gets around uncallable stuff. Unsub is actually better than Manalic in my.
All right, unsubstantiated is.
I would play both. I mean, because we're really light on interaction, and this deck
we're at
needs
100
to get
cards,
into the.
So we have to start cutting stuff.
Okay, let's refresh.
Which probably the first thing I would cut would be like either the talisman or the springleaf drum. To be honest,
I'd cut the springleaf drum. That card's garbage in this deck.
I mean, we got 12 creatures. That's not like the worst.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty bad.
But I can. It's definitely on the chopping block.
I don't like Arbor Elf anymore.
It's only in there because it's a 1-mana elf and it will untap our breeding pool.
Yeah, I'm just.
I mean, I could see getting rid of it.
I don't feel like if we get rid of our, yeah. It's like, Arbor Elf and Wild Growth are such good friends. Like,
What are Arbor Elf and what?
Wild Growth.
I would rather have Wild Growth over Arbor Elf anyway, personally.
I really wish we could have the other one too, but we're not allowed to play that one. It's like $6.
I mean, we could, yeah. but it's not normally in either list.
No, but I would think in a budget list though.
I'd be fine with that in a budget list. It's also $6.
Yeah, like I mean, I would play it like if it was like I play it in a lot of lists. I put Mana Leak in.
Deprive. I'd like to play Deprive over Mana Leak.
Sean, opinions, thoughts?
Is that the one that bounces the line?
Yeah, it's blue bounce a land counter target spell.
Is it a hard counter spell? Yeah,
it's a hard counter spell. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
A lot of people. So, go ahead.
This deck plays so many lands, you can get away with it.
Yeah. Plus, we want the land drops anyway.
Exactly.
So I think the dorks are fine. I really like the elf, one of the elves that lets you tap to put a land. Sakura Tribe Elder Scout guy, or the sorcery speed one that lets you tap, put a land into play.
What's the one you're playing, Richie?
That's Sakura Tribe Scout. There's a sorcery one that lets you put it puts it in at sorcery speed, so you can only do it on your turn.
Gotta give me a name.
I don't have it off the top of my
I
head.
think Tribe Scout is good enough for me. I don't think you need a lot of those effects.
Yeah, Tribe Scout's like $5 too, so.
Oh, Tribe Scout is $5?
I mean, we can go a little.
Okay, because the 2-mana one is a lot cheaper. It's a couple cents. But it's 2 mana versus 1. It's called Llanowar Scout, I believe. Which, however you want, however you're looking on budget.
There's another one I'm looking up right now.
Over. So let's do the Llanowar Scout.
I was actually thinking about it, Mom.
It's also a 1/3, so it can block a couple more creatures. If we need it to. And it's not sorcery speed.
Let me see if I can find this other one.
We also need to cut one card. I already cut Arbor Elf. But I would like to try to keep some amount of 1 CMC ramp. Because it is pretty important to help us curve.
I agree. Oh, I love the fact we're playing Oracle Moldiah. Just any deck playing Oracles makes me happy. I haven't been the biggest fan of Gush. I know it's really, really good and a lot of people like it. I always thought Gush was kind of hard to use and it was kind of a win more. Like, a couple times Gush felt pretty okay, but I don't know, Sean, do you have any opinion?
I love Gush. I'm on the side up. I love Gush.
So Sean loves Gush, so we'll keep gushing.
Yeah,
I think
in trade routes. Oh my. All the value, all the time.
What about Hydroblast has kind of been staring me at the face?
Blue Elemental Blast, you mean? Or is there a Hydroblast in here
There's still a Hydroblast in this one.
I'd cut Hydroblast, yeah.
That puts us at 100 cards.
Oh, sweet.
I think that's pretty good. I think we got a pretty solid list there.
Tim, it's Sky Shroud Ranger was the card. It's a 1 mana. It's a 1-drop that lets you put an extra land from your hand, puts a land from your hand into play.
Ranger. And it's any land?
Yep, I think so. Unless it says a basic.
Let's play that over the Scout. Or do you guys think that it's more important to have the instant speed loop?
No, the 1 versus the 2 is a lot better.
Yeah.
Or if you play that on 1 turn 2, you can get a lot more value out of it.
I personally was impressed that I snuck a Farseekin under you boys.
And Sakura Tribe Scout is $4.50, or $4.83 for the foil version in mystery boosters.
I saw the Farseekin. I was like, I'll complain anymore.
All right. So normally I would goldfish a couple of hands, but I mean this deck's kind of reactive.
It is.
So I'm not quite sure that, like...
I think the only thing that we might need to go over, or Richie can go over one more time, is at least 4 to 5 lines of how you can win with this deck. And that was one of my, when I started playing the deck, that was one of the things I kind of struggled with, was how to win with the deck.
All right, hold on. Let me go to visual first.
So we don't have Noxious Revival, which is kind of a big deal, but you can still loop with Eternal Witness. And
do we want to add like a regrowth effect or something?
We have Ewit, and Ewit works fine because Ewit lets us return what's it called? Our Flicker back to our hand, but it also allows us to use that land, Mystic Sanctuary, to put a card on top of our deck.
Gotcha.
Right.
So I do want to add maybe one more card in, and this is a little bit I don't know how, I know we're kind of budget, but I like having one land that's kind of a way to remove Hull Breacher. It was Mouth of Ronan, but if you can't play it, I think that Blast Zone, if that's available, is a pretty decent trade-off. The only problem is it does kill your own stuff.
So Blast Zone and Mouth of Ronan.
I like Mouth a lot. It kills.
Which one is cheaper?
Blast Zone's really expensive. Never mind.
They're both like $4 or $5.
You want a way to get rid of, and it's really important. You do need a way to get rid of Hull Breacher. Like that's public enemy number one.
Is $4 and is less. So you have to pay 3 to activate it, and in order to kill the Hull Breacher, you have to put 2 additional counters on the Blast Zone. So that means that you have to pay 4 more mana plus the 3. So that's 7 mana to kill the Hull Breacher.
Yeah, then play multiple on them.
So let's just play them all.
Better.
Yeah, I'll put the Blast Zone in the considering board, and now we need to cut a land. So a couple of options to maybe cut, especially since we're kind of at like 512 now, there's the Vine Glimmer Snarl, which is the blue-green land where you have to show a land to have it come into play untapped. That's kind of like a soft kind of meh. We could cut another basic. I would cut a non-snow basic. Actually, you know what? Since we're playing Mouth of Ronan,
you might want to play some more snow lands, yeah.
We're going to add one more snow basic, and then we'll cut a regular forest.
I would basically, what I would do is I'd go down to one of each basic and play a couple more and just dump the rest into the snowlands, yeah.
Well, except for the we need to meet the condition for Field of the Dead.
You only need one of each basic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There's Overload and Snow and play one forest, one island.
I would say you might want 2 of each, but
either or. I'm not saying you can get away with it because as long as you to fetch the regular forest, it doesn't matter because everything is snow after that. Because you need the snowlands, then you would play the.
So we'll have 5 of each. We'll have 5 of both snowlands, and then we'll have 2 of each regular basics. That way, we just kind of help have the extra redundancy because we're not playing the full suite of fetches. Even though we do have a lot of like land tutors, it's just we're not as dense as we are in the budget list. So
we could also cut Homeward Path too if we had to.
There's no Gilded Drakes.
You're not gonna find any Gilded Drakes.
It's a $15 land.
Hey, that opens up some room.
Yeah, I don't think you're finding any Gilded Drakes here.
Like,
you might have that one asshole friend who's got it, and he just jams it in all of his decks.
Play Unsubstantiate at that point, which we're doing. Bounce your own Tatyova.
But we might. Don't I already have Flusterstrain in there?
Hold on. I think if we find that space, we're back at 99. I think I would like a Noxious in.
Noxious is $15.
Okay, Regrowth.
Yeah, Regrowth would be much better.
You want Regrowth over Noxious?
Yeah. Yeah. If we're going for the budget, yeah, Regrowth.
Okay. I mean, we were $15 over. That's why I didn't have a problem with it.
Okay, then that's fine then.
So would you rather would you rather have Regrowth or would you rather have Noxious if money was not an option?
If money was not an option, Noxious.
Then let's just do Noxious and go $12 over, like we were.
If we could go cheaper and take out Goose for Bird and still be there,
I like that. Great. I think that's better.
So what we would do is we would put Regrowth in.
Yeah,
Regrowth and Bird over Noxious and Goose.
Yeah, that would be the perfect world.
Question: how about we cut Llanowar Elf for birds?
No, I'd cut Gilded Goose. I think Gilded Goose is pretty terrible, but I mean,
Goose is a bad man.
It's actually been pretty decent in the decks I've played it in.
If you want to roll with Gilded Goose, go for it.
It's a food, though. You need a food to make the mana, right?
It makes food.
Only when it ET.
It makes 1 when it ETBs, and then you pay 2 and you pay 2 and tap it.
I'm not paying 2 mana to make food.
You
2 mana
underestimate flooding out and not having shit to do.
No. I got the golden egg.
I'd rather place the Core Tribe Scout over Gilded Goose and pay the extra $3.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, we got birds in. We got Goose out.
Okay. I'm not happy with my life.
Are you happy with your life now?
The Goose was bothering me. I'm like, man, this Golden Goose. I see why we're playing it, but I'm not on board.
I mean, like, it's a reasonably decent dork. Like, I'm not saying oh, put it in your like budget list for $1, it makes any color you need and it can consistently do it.
Of course it got reprinted. No, I didn't.
Yep. All right, let me double check our budget. Make sure we're not too much over. So guess what? We're at 509. That's not bad.
All right. So I guess it's all doing hands.
Let's do a couple of hands real quick.
No, I'm saying instead of doing it, like just Richie runs through a couple of the lines for, go for flicker loops and what else you can go for flicker, and so that should be the video.
So your flicker loops that are really nice that you have options with are you can flicker 2 lands, including a Mystic Sanctuary, if you have a what's it called into play? Lotus Cobra into play.
So Mystic Sanctuary, for everybody who's unfamiliar with what it does, is it enters play tapped unless you control 3 or more islands, and then it returns a instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to the top of your library if it comes into play untapped. Yeah. That's why it's important. And it's fetchable. That's why we're running all these blue base fetches.
So your crop rotation, that's something you want to worry about. You want to make sure you have the right mana base. Like, you want to make sure you're stressing that you have enough islands into play. That's why we're more island heavy than forest heavy.
Yep.
So you can do that. Basically, at that point, you're going to start drawing your deck out with Tatyova. And you can get to the point where you need to be careful. You don't want to announce, hey, I'm going to do this. You want to do this as many times as it's going to take, let's say, to find this sun-scorched desert. At that point, you can play the sun-scorched desert, deal 1 damage to a player, and then you can start the loop again with...
so how does the loop work?
So at that point, when you're going to want to layer the loop is... You have your islands in play, you have your Mystic Sanctuary. When Mystic Sanctuary comes into play, after you resolve your Ghostly Flicker on it, you're going to put Ghostly Flicker on top of your deck. Then you're going to stack it so Tatyova then allows you to draw that Ghostly Flicker.
Okay.
So we're there. So when you're going to kill someone with Sunscorched Desert, you need to stack it so Tatyova draw trigger only occurs on 1, and the Sunscorched Desert, you want to stack it so the Sunscorched Desert resolves first to deal its damage.
Yep.
Then the Mystic Sanctuary resolves to put Ghostly Flicker. Then the Tatyova resolves to draw the card. Then your Lotus Cobra triggers resolve, or whatever your your Basalt Monolith or whatever. But you always basically are going to end up trying to draw yourself out doing this, and the way you prevent yourself from drawing out is you flicker on top and go over. So you're going to
respond to that.
Yes, you got to
that draw.
Correct. One nice thing you do have that we're not was Sean had we have Noxious Revival to prevent that, because we can cast Noxious Revival to put a card on top of our deck, and then we can use Claim. Mystic Sanctuary to put Noxious Revival on top of your deck. Right. So you're always drawing the cards equal to the number of lands that come into play.
Except we're not playing Noxious in this instance.
We're not playing Noxious, so it does matter how you layer, and that's why I want to point that out. You can make infinite mana. If you do make infinite mana, you're obviously drawing your deck out as well. You can decide if you really wanted to be a dick to just take all the extra turns and just loop it so you can take an extra turn, you can kill your Tatyova so you're not drawing cards, right. And you can win with, your infinite army of 2/2s that you can make with your, what's it called? Your Field of the Dead.
So essentially our hard outs are Sunscorched Desert, infinite army of zombies, or ostensibly infinite army of zombies.
Yeah. And Field of the Dead.
And lots of turns.
Yeah.
Now
so you've got some decent outs there.
Yeah, there's some decent. And then what you do is you just kill. And then we have Unsubstantiate that'll bounce Tatyova back to your hand. We have Reality Shift. We have Pongify. All of those and Beast Within, which will all kill Tatyova before you have too many draw triggers. Because what you can do is you can actually stack all those draw triggers for Tatyova, because you're responding to them. Kill her once you've drawn a removal spell, and then blink, and then continue the loop with the draw triggers on the stack.
Correct. And you'll just basically continuously draw your Ghostly Flicker at that point.
Yeah, because you'll drill the stack down off of those draw triggers, and then once you've eliminated all of those draw triggers, you can end your loop and proceed, replay Tatyova, and go. If you have to.
And then you've got, we also have Time Warp, and we have Temporal Manipulation. Not Temporal, Temporal Manipulation, yeah. Time Warp and Temporal Manipulation. In the non-budget, we play Capture, as well as we play Walk the Aeons. Some of us do.
And we're running...
And you can,
time
by the way, you can run Walk the Aeons over Karn's Temporal Sundering, whatever. Like, that gives you another outlet where once you have the mana, you can bounce your land. You can then play your Mystic Sanctuary, trigger Tatyova's draw spell, or trigger Tatyova draw, trigger Mystic Sanctuary, put the extra turn spell on top of your deck, draw it with Tatyova. Recast the extra turn, you're going to go infinite that way. And you're always going to see one new card because you're getting your draw step too.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more mana intensive, but that works just as well. And it's an easy loop to set up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. List looks good. I like it. I think it's a nice update. I think that it's a good starter list for anybody who's interested in powering up a Tatyova list and looking into getting into cEDH. It's got a lot of the basics that you'll need to successfully play a Tatyova list mechanically, as well as some of the staples that will scale up with you. So where can guys find you all? On the interwebs.
Oh, boy.
Oh, where was that? Where is that, Sean? Where can we... Oh, well. Sean's
Oh, boy.
Answering.
Where
Oh, boy,
can we find you? Oh, boy.
Oh. Sean's note box. You can find me. I'm on Twitter at BigRIchie2004. I tweet some cEDH hot takes every now and then. I tweet out other things. I also stream on a semi-regular, semi-unconsistent basis at this point over at twitch.tv/BigRIchie2004. And then I play games every once in a while on the Nexus, kind of trying to look forward to doing that. Maybe producing some content with some very high stakes cEDH games, if at all possible.
Cool. Well, what about you, Sean? Jamaican Dude.
Me on the Nexus. You can find me in most Discords that play cEDH. And I guess you can also find me in Budget Brews. I'm not active in these groups, so you do have to ping if you wish for my presence to be.
They have to summon you and then wait 3 hours?
You have to summon me, then wait, yes.
Yes, on that island time.
Most importantly, you can find us over at the cEDH Narset server.
Oh,
yeah. Which we did do. We released that a couple weeks, last weekend actually, or a couple weeks ago.
Find us there. We are brewing Narset because my dream is to get Narset on the database. I mean, that is a dream that can be achieved, maybe.
That can probably be achieved. I mean, it looks like with that. I mean,
some other people do so.
Looks like Treasure Dwarf made it on.
I don't even understand how that did. Magda?
Yeah, Magda.
So concise win comp or whatever.
It is.
You know what? People can play whatever they want.
Exactly. As long as you play with a competitive mindset and don't reel into a consecrated things, people. Please.
Yeah, don't do that. That'll make me grumpy. Real grumpy. Thanks, Jake. For the sea stinks.
We shouldn't be trolling people now.
We're trolling.
By the way, Timmy, what do you have going on?
Yeah,
so I have so by the time this is released, I obviously have the Budget Brews. I play games randomly around some places. I'm pretty sporadic at the at this point. I am also partaking in the it is the Major League Commander. It is a league of content creators and known personalities where we are drafting the entire database and then we are streaming pods on the weekends on Twitch. It'll be on the I believe it's either going to be on the subreddit Twitch or the Mind Sculptors Twitch, or both. That's going to be the big thing besides budget decks that I'm doing. I'm also around. I'm on Twitter a little bit, technically, mostly. I pretend I'm there. I'm on the subreddit. I'm on Facebook. All those places. You can find me as TimmyT1000. And thanks for joining me, guys. And you all have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.